I'm sure you all know Satish Syenoy due to a lot of interactions on the net. He is an avid speaker as well as a lot of blogs he writes, a lot of things he does on the net. So today his topic is multifaceted CAE. Satish Syenoy is a chartered accountant by profession, cost accountant and a company secretary. He is a senior professional with over 40 years of experience in internal audit, risk management, forensics, and ethics functions in PSUs and private enterprises. Currently, written books, mentoring, teaching, and working in villages has been his passion. So he worked with Aditya Birla Group as a CAE. Over to you, Mr. Satish Syenoy. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. And I'm very happy to be here. This can be switched off, please. Thank you. Very happy to be here. Excuse me, I had a little bad throat, but God has been kind and it's got absolutely better today. Yesterday, if you had heard me, you wouldn't have heard me. So that's how bad it was, and that's how good life is. I have decided not to make any presentation, in the sense, not make any PPT, with the simple reason that I want to today speak from heart, okay? As a measure of internal control, we have Mr. Babu Govindrajan in the audience. So he's the guy who will ensure that what I speak is actually out of experience and not something which I read out of books. The idea today for me, what I intend to do, because I know that in the audience there are people who've got such lovely experience, and the only difference between probably each one of you and me is I just took the opportunity of coming here and speaking. So that's my claim to fame, why I'm here. Having said that, I think I need to structure what I'm going to speak about. So what I thought I'll do is first talk a little bit of the new buzzwords which are there, which are going on, which some of us are already implementing, some of us are yet to implement, and some people like me who may be scared to implement these things. So let's talk a little bit about it. And the intention of me wanting to talk about it is making me lead into one more aspect of life that we always need to benchmark. However good we are, and that's one of the very good things that I remember about economics, is the theory of comparative cost advantage. Even if you are the best in the world, in any sphere that one is in, if you break up the parts of that particular excellence, you'll find that there are some parts where somebody else in the world is doing it better than you. You may be number one. Your number two could be far away from you. But the thing is that you will have some part of what is being done, and you'll find that somebody is doing it better than me. All that we need to do is, and today with the world being what it is, people are willing to collaborate so long as there is a give and there is a take. Life cannot be just taking and taking and taking. Life is all about giving and taking, okay? Giving more than what you have taken, because I think most of us, at least as far as my age is concerned, we've been taking more than what we've been giving. And some of our fortunate brothers and sisters are the other way around. They've been giving more than what they're getting. So the idea is that we must therefore treat benchmarking as one of the very, very important aspects of life. I've had the fortune of actually reporting to Mr. Birla when I was in Aditya Birla Group, to Mr. A.M. Nayak when I was in L&T, and not directly reporting to Mr. Ambani when I was in Reliance Retail, because that was about 15 years ago. So I had a step two kind of a reporting relationship. The idea of me using the next 30 minutes is that 40 minutes is that I want to share these kind of experiences. How do what do they really think about life? Forget about audit. Audit we'll come to. But what is it that they think is necessary? What is it that they expect from their skilled resources? That is the most important thing. Whether it's a chief audit executive, whether it's a CFO, whether it's the risk manager, it just doesn't really matter. And that is what I'm trying to connect with the topic. A multifaceted CAE has a very, very wide role. And it's, excuse me, sir. Oh, sir. Sir, why don't you come here and give the speech, yeah? So, sorry. So the idea is that you must do, that each one of us must do what is absolutely necessary. I can't be saying that I'll work on my strengths. There are some things which each one of us know, some things which we do very comfortably. And what do we like to do? We like to do something which we are very comfortable at, isn't it? That's a human nature, right? If I like to play cricket, if any sport is given to me, I would first jump and try to play cricket, right? So likewise, there are many things, and this is a tendency that I think we need to break. We need to get out of our comfort zones. We need to make sure that our teams work far away from their comfort zones. Give them some new skills, throw up some new challenges. Just as you get the challenges from up, make sure that your team is challenged all the time. Don't get them into a state of complacency. And this, my friends, will be really, really useful. So I've jotted down a couple of things which, as I said, some new terminologies, some new thoughts, which probably I, given my limited experience, might not really have the wherewithal to talk as an expert, but I'll tell you what, I'll share what my few views are. So the first thing that I thought, that today if you say a multifaceted CAE, means that I'll talk about concepts like agile internal auditing. I'm a fan of agile internal auditing. I think the days have already gone of making a fixed internal audit plan and keeping 20% of the resources, 15% of the resources, 25% of the resources for assignments from management. I think that thing has already moved out, at least in progressive internal audit departments. I'm of the opinion, and I beg to hear views from each one of you or any one of you if there is a contrary opinion. So my take on this is that we must be agile. We must not be seen as auditors being in that corner room, sitting over there and doing audit, not interacting with the businesses. Find a place to sit, what we call as seat on the table. But seat on the table, I think there are enough articles if you just go and do a chat GPT or that's a new modern word today instead of Google. So if you just do that, you will get so much things about seat on the table. I'm a little one step ahead. Seat on the table, of course, you must get. That's in the boardroom. But you must be in sync with businesses. All through my audit life, I've always got a lower score on business knowledge. And when I say I mean the team, but I take responsibility for that. As a CAE, it is my responsibility to ensure that each one of our members of the team understand the business as best as they can and don't lower that gap. And I've seen tremendous amount of benefits. I've seen one guy in a construction company that I worked for, no need to take the name, you understood it probably better than me, of a guy who had complete knowledge of the business. And what a joy it was. My hair and the body standing, the tears in my eyes, when I saw him making a presentation, and the business was actually asking him questions. Of course, that was an extreme case of deep business knowledge. But I have seen successful audit team members doing a fantastic job when it comes to not just using technical terms and trying to, because you can it can be seen through. But if the business understands, because why is internal audit being there? Yeah, Caro requirement, all those things are there. But the management is spending so much amount of time and resources and management attention. Look at the kind of management attention that internal auditors get. A person who joins internal audit team within a few months has got access to the CEO of the company, has got access to the plant unit head, who otherwise, if there was a guy or gal working in a accounts department or wherever else, doesn't have any opportunity to discuss and deal with the senior management and at times make presentations. So communication becomes the next skill set. So I'm a big fan of this agile internal auditing, and I guess we need to make sure that we are equipped to understand, and this comes through interaction with what the business really needs and focusing on that. Which leads me to the next point of talking about how we report, I think that page of 36-page internal audit document, which used to earlier be printed, and today we have computerized, to use in italics, and made it a soft form and issued auditing reports. 36 pages report, I think, is not what the management want. I mean, a CFO is not going to read your 36 pages. He doesn't even have time to even think. And once he sees reports coming of 36 pages, I've just used 36 as a number. I mean, we had a class on astrology, and I think in astrology, 36 has some significance. And so that came out in my mouth. But you take any other number. And so we must be very, very, very conscious of how we report. The best example I can give you of reporting is the newspaper, okay? One day, I was overseeing an audit of about, it was a huge project. It was some 12,000 crore project, and my team had gone there, and they came back, and we came with the report. And the first point was about cash, about some IOU or something like that. Have a heart. I mean, even if there was a 50,000 rupees or a 25 lakh IOU in a 15,000 crore project, so long as it's not a fraud. I mean, it was some, these IOUs, how they are. I mean, I don't have to say it. So it just doesn't work. You look at a newspaper, just see the beauty of a newspaper. Every single day it is there on the table in the house, beautifully aligned. I mean, if you see a newspaper, if it is 16 pages, the top of the top till the end of the end is completely filled. No questions of blank pages and half a page, and just because they've got content. Sometimes it's over content, therefore they fill in with some news, like news channels on TV, they have to report 24/7. I'll come to that later when I talk about continuous monitoring. So the newspaper has any newspaper, if you open, you have a headline. You can judge whether you will read that article based on 4 or 5 words of a headline. How many of our audit reports are written that way? Just by the mere, and I'm not saying that we don't do it. I mean, not even for a minute. I'm talking about my own experience. How many of our reports are tuned in such a manner that from the headline, people are able to understand whether I need to read this paragraph or it is not relevant for me? How beautifully the newspaper is. I know the sports page, if I pick up a Times, I know it's on the last page and the one before that, subject to ads, of course, nowadays, because you get a newspaper today which is more ads than content. But that's okay. I mean, I'm talking about the good part of newspapers. And if you look at that, of course, now the newspaper itself is in danger. I was talking to Giri just a few minutes back, and we were talking about how newspapers could go out of, but whatever it is, whatever medium it is, whether it's hard copy, soft copy, whatever. See the way it is aligned. When if you turn the second page, these are the type of news, the city page, the national page, the editorial, and you can simply go there and pick it up. The speaking tree is on this side, and if you're interested in that, you can just go there and read. There's a call, and so on and so forth. There's a sports page, and that's the heading. There's a photo. Below the photo, there's a caption. beautifully laid out. So our report should be like that. And no excuse. No, that person didn't come, Sharma was not well, I couldn't write the report, it's 7 days. We want replies from the auditees in 7 days, and it takes 14 days to write the report. No way he's going to give it to you. If I am the auditee, I'll not give the report, I'll say I require 2x time. If you took 8 days to make it, I require 16 days, and that too if I'm in a mood, and depending on what you wrote in your audit report. A day will come when we will not have to issue an audit report because the small points will be taken care of and the large ones anyway will make news. That will be the day when I will say internal audit profession has arrived. Let the small things be where they are. Focus on the big numbers. Focus on the most important points. Make sure you have points which are of relevance to the business. And then you see how they lick your hand. They lick out of your hand. And I'm giving very extreme cases. It's not that I want you to think that all through my life I've only been doing this. I'm just culling out the good points. And since it's a seminar like this, only from experience I'm culling out what really worked. Forget about whether it worked for me, but it worked as a function for the companies. And good, reputed companies who always want the best from their products, from their company, as a citizen, as a corporate citizen, whatever companies that I just took the names of, they all want excellence. And we have to be the harbinger of excellence. So that's the agile auditing. The other important thing I must call out is integrated assurance. We have one company secretarial department which will go and do secretarial audit. We have one safety department which will go and do a safety audit. We have one compliance department that will go and do a compliance audit. And I can keep boring you till the next 30 minutes and keep saying that there are so many audits being done. Multifaceted, right? If I'm multifaceted, I'm not saying that we must disrupt, and disruption I'll come to later. I'm not saying we should disrupt and say that secretarial department is not required, the safety audit is not required, and that's not required. Understand that we need to collaborate, and that's what the point that I was making. Collaborate with these departments, understand what they are doing, understand what we need to do, what we need to do when we go and do compliance or when we review compliance, when we go for an audit. Understand that what is it that I am doing and what is it that this secretarial department is there, what are they doing, why do we require 2 departments? Understand what the risk management team is doing. Their objective is no way different from what we are doing as chief audit executives. I'm not here to say whether there should be one function which is called audit and risk management. Let there be different functions because there's always going to be, in large organizations, always going to be need for doing something very specific. So my point is that if these departments do exist separately, and as a practitioner, so what is in it for me as a practitioner? Make sure that we have enough of talent. It should be a one-stop shop. What is retail all about? If I have a list of things that I need to buy, I can't go to multiple shops, right? That's why I go to a retail shop. If I had to do that, then I would have gone to those 1,500 kirana shops that are there up my street. But I go to an organized retail with a simple intention that I'll get what I want. I'll get the quality that I want, I'll get the quantity that I want. Quantity restrictions, unfortunately, apply in retail because I worked in retail. Leave that part aside. But I get a convenience, I get a good atmosphere. So that's the whole part about, offering a bouquet of services. So whether you're a practitioner, whether you're working in large corporates, the important is create a bouquet. And when you say create a bouquet, don't create a lip service bouquet. Because then it is better to say that I have no resources in doing this than to say that I have resources on this and fall flat on your nose. So if you're offering a bouquet, make it sure that not just because you went for an audit and somebody said, oh, here there's a problem on safety, without even knowing anything about safety, if you say yes, Oh, I have an expert. 27 years back, I did a safety audit when I joined my company. I'll do safety audit for you. No way it will go to work. It's going to get you a bad brownie points. So make sure that we have a team who's skilled tremendously, and that's where you need to develop this. Think about the concept of guest auditors, and I tell you, this guest auditors has given one of the things. If one of the things has given me a lot of fun in what I do and a lot of recognition, if I was to use that word in a very limited sense, one of the things that I certainly got for me and for my team was the use of guest auditors. These guest auditors are nothing but people who are working within the company, intelligent guys who have aspirations to do something different from what they have been doing for the last so many years. So they could be an engineer, they could be a safety expert, they could be an IT expert, they could be an environmental guy, they could be anything under the sun. You know the areas that are there. I don't have to call out all of them, but I just suggestedly said these 4 or 5 areas where these are experts. Get an accountant, a pure accountant also in the team. There are so many areas of accounting that even though we are chartered accountants, internal auditor, chartered accountants, there are so many things that I don't know, and in a forum like this, Chennai chapter is my heart, and I can say this, sometimes we appear as we don't even care whether we know it, and that's the sad part. I've finished my auditing career with this one single grouse, that there are times when I said I don't even care whether I know these accounting standards, and when you know, in our internal meetings for auditors, we used to call these accountants and come to speak to us, and then you understand that they're doing some hedging, because obviously there's a lot of forex going in and out, and the way they talk about not only the hedging process, that's a separate story. The hedge accounting, if you see, is so beautifully complex. It's not so beautiful, it's so beautifully complex. So we say, oh, this is complex. I say, it's so complex, and keep away. So I guess this might be one more opportunity for us to make an impact. But understand that these guys are experts. And this happens in business as well, right? When we go and talk to business guys, they are experts in that. They've been doing this for the last, I don't know how many years. And that's the beauty of it. So the point is that we must skill our resources in such a manner that we are equipped to do exactly what is really permitted. Cyber security, I don't think I have the wherewithal to even talk about it. Let me talk about continuous control monitoring, continuous risk management, CCM, PCM, TCM, whatever way you want to call them, please call it. More important is what we do. In one of the groups that I worked, and that group had a fantastic IT system, you know. It sometimes even told you what, I mean, if some data was required about a person of in the last 15 years, what time he came and what time he left office. Forget about what he did in between. That's a separate story. But what time he came and what time he left, it could be got by a push of a button. And I'm serious about this. I'm not joking. Data was there. Whenever you want to use it, you use it. Otherwise, it is to get dumped. But if we have an institute, a proper continuous control monitoring in the system, in the organization, believe me, there is a beautiful impact that can happen. I don't want to be seen as an auditor in a 5G era and talking about 3G problems. Okay? That is exactly what I should not be doing. Look at the news channels, you know. If some death is there happened or there is a earthquake, they don't mind shoving a mic into that guy who's in the rubble and asking for help, saying that how is he feeling? Kaisa lag raha hai aapko? Kya ho raha hai? Kya nahi ho raha hai? And if it is in Marathi, they talk in Marathi. If it is in Tamil, then it is talked in a little higher tone, but it is yet spoken like that. and so on and so forth. And if it is French, it is thrown very politely, but they won't help that guy. So we can't be affording to be like that. And we have to report it as it happens. And that's where I said that we might come to an era where internal audit reports will be the dinosaurs of the world. All these 36 pages of report will not be relevant. Which is why we must have an excellent portal or an excellent system which will not only track the progress of audits, but also have an effective control mechanism for replies and follow-up action. I think the bane of our profession, and I'm sorry to say this, I mean, I'm sure that there are different degrees of good and bad on what I'm going to say next. The point I'm going to make is, I think among the strengths we have so many, but among some things that I would love to see improved as a profession, for me for sure, and as a profession, one of the things will be a lovely mechanism for follow-up. Be as it may be, we may be having the best of observations, and while we are writing the audit report, there is a person responsible, and what color shirt he wore, and what was he doing, and what grade he is in. 4 years, he's already become a general manager, but my observation is still open. One of our banes of our profession is that nobody is taking action against our report. The problem is not with the auditee, my friend. The problem is with what we wrote. If somebody tells me something which I'm not finding it relevant to do, unless there is a diktat, unless there is a force, unless I'm living in China, if I'm living in India, I will not do. I will not do. I have nothing against Chinese. I have never been there as well. That's the beauty. But we can talk freely. So, the idea is that we must have a strong, first of all, we must be very careful about what we report. You know, if my purpose of audit is improvement, not a 36-page report, if my appraisal and my relevance was gauged on a weighing scale, then I would have put more paper there. And you know what I mean when I say I put paper there. It's not corruption, but more pages of an audit report there. But today I don't think we get evaluated by the size of the report, right? We get evaluated, or we find ourselves relevant on the basis of what we report. So focus on those things. Don't make a laundry list of some 70 things that have gone wrong. Don't make a list of 70 things that have gone wrong. You prioritize what are the things that will make that unit work more efficiently. I remember one day, I was making a presentation to a unit head, and he told me, and he asked me, just tell me the 3 things that of this report which you want me to do, improve. And when I told him the top 3 observations, you know what he turned around and said? And this question always is in my mind when I start a new audit. He said, and I quote him, he said, you mean to say if I do these 3 things, my business will be all right? And that was a slap, hardest slap that I ever got in my audit career. Start thinking about what is it, it may be your top observation, but from the tone and the body language with which he said it, I respect that man for the rest of my life. Because he taught me a lesson without touching me. Sometimes you earn a lesson when you bang your car. Without actually physically touching me, he said something which went right into my heart. He said, if these 3 things are done, so always look out for those type of observations and be very firm about it. Encourage our teams to get into that kind of a culture. And then you see how relevant it is. So if our observations are not getting acted upon, or they are repeated observations, and we get pleasure in repeating it again and again and again and again and again and again, and the only discussion point in lunch rooms is, because we sit and eat with us only. We don't go out and eat, have lunch or with other teams. Apas mein baithenge, we'll sit within our own teams and say, Arey nahi, go on cribbing like this. No. Who's going to listen to you? if observations are not getting implemented, as they always say, look within. Don't look outside. Look within. Why is it not getting implemented? You mean to say that if I'm doing if I am using some route to come to this hall, and somebody tells me there's a better route, just for fun, and then when I see it on Google, it takes the same time, there's equally, if there's no traffic here, there's traffic somewhere, why will I use it? I'll say, yeah, DK, yeah, he's just telling me to come from here, he's telling me to come. But if he gives me one fantastic route where I can save 15 minutes, do you think I'll not implement it? I don't care who tells me that. He could be from Chennai or he could be from USA. How do I care who told me this? What I care is what is in it for me. And remember this, what is in it for me is the question on the topmost part of the executive's mind. What is in it for me? If I'm going to invest, if I'm the CFO of a $50 billion company, why will I read your audit report? What is it that it will tell me that will help me to do things better in my organization? Now forget about him or her. Start asking this question to ourselves. What is it that I'm reporting? Sheaves and sheaves and sheaves of audit report, 118 audit reports, 124 audit reports. Don't go by those numbers. Think about relevance. So I'm jumping from point to point because obviously there is a paucity of time. Sometimes when I start speaking, I feel that the time passes faster than what I think it should. But never mind, that's the way of life. So data analytics was one other thing that I wanted to talk, but I think I'm least qualified to talk about it. I'm sure that there are other sessions that will probably, address these couple of issues. Okay? On data analytics, I just make one limited point, which I'm sure all of us are doing, and but I thought it necessary to call this out. Is when we do data analytics, please make sure that we compare databases, like the typical thing in purchase when I say, I feel archaic saying this, that you match the PIN code and the telephone number with that supplier and employees and all. I think, come on, each one of us are doing that. But make sure that you understand the business in such a manner that you pick up some different database and see how relevant it is to what you are transacting, and look out for patterns or red flags, which are possible audit areas for us. I'll give you one very, very classic example about data analytics. There was this team that was there, nice, solid youngsters. They went there and found out that, some GRNs were getting delayed and some those typical purchase audit. I get fed up. I don't know why GRNs are never made on time. I hope things have improved now. I've been out of touch for some time. But GRNs have got delayed, and then our auditors are super. GRN got delayed. Oh, very good. GRN got delayed. How many days? They range from this to this, and this is the average for standard deviation, correlation, variation, this happened, that happened. Fellow kept on writing some charts, weights and all. Yeah, must, superb. Reputation risk, payment will not be made on time. Material was issued for production without the MR, that material issue note, and consequences and this and this and this went on and on. So what, yeah? What happened finally? Auditee replied. Goes into the next page. Auditee reply, tense, quickly turn the page. What do I see? Mr. Sharma was on leave in the month of May, and there was nobody else to make this GRN. We have 100 people who will serve coffee if the coffee doesn't come. But in this company, like all companies that I worked for, we don't have... Giving me something? Huh? Oh, I need to shut up. Thank you very much. 1 hour. Okay. A little eyesight problem, sir. Okay. I won't have shut up. I would have told Giri, So, yeah. So he told him, so he turned the page, he says, Sharma was on leave, and not done. However, poor fellow is writing, however. I thought he would have stopped and said, what the hell have you reported? He said, however, this has now been done. Because report is being issued in June. Just watch the fun. Huh? This happened a few years ago. I was just thinking, if I was the CFO, $40 billion company, reports unfortunately get marked to him. And if he thought today Syenoy has issued a report, let me read it. And if he read this paragraph, what he would have thought about me, yaar? Why did I employ this guy? What is he doing? He's buggering time of all my people, yeah. He's written all this and that fellow says, and he's accepted it. This audit, nothing. He issued the report. No. The data analytics should have been done in such a way. That guy was on leave on May, yaar. What should have been done was, look at 12 months data. 11 months you found no problem. You only found the problem in the 12th month or the month of May because system access is always there. That particular month there was an issue and the observation is still there. Huh? What should have been the observation to the management? That this MRN making, a GRN making is an important activity, just as cleaning toilets and the tea guy. If the tea fellow is not there, no tea today served. If lunch fellow is not there, the burger fellow is not there, no burgers. French fry, there's nobody to fry, no French fries. Somebody else comes and does it, right? So the point should have been about multi-skilling. And that's a very, very important point. Then these guys will sit and listen to you. That this point is not about GRN and MRN and whatever. And it's not only about stores. It is across the company. It's across the whole unit and therefore across the company. What is it that we as a company, such a beautiful company, otherwise so well run, why are we stumbling on that blessed GRN? Why aren't we making the GRNs on time? We all know the repercussion of not making a GRN on time. So, the ability of analytics and the ability of thinking in a different way helps us to look at data in a completely different mindset. Something that will make somebody listen in the company. You could probably take it up with HR and say that evaluate our managers in terms of what they are doing for multi-skilling. And that should be the observation. And this is only coming out of data analytics. So make sure that, instead of coming out with these kind of observations, I'm not saying all of us are doing, I'm just telling you, as I told you, I'm giving you my personal experience of what situations, moments, interactions have taught me. That is the most important thing. Our managements, whenever we go to them with a particular issue, at the top management level, they say, fine, yeah, it happened in this cement plant in Awarpur. Fine, good. How do you think it happens in the 109 plants that we have, cement plants that we have across the group? How do you think it happens there? Sir, I'll come back to you, sir. And you also forget, he also forgets. Oh, go to him or go to the board with the complete data. Say that something, if you find it's critical, how is it that I'm dealing? And that's where benchmarking comes. Whether it is internal benchmarking or external benchmarking or benchmarking in forums like this. Hey guy, how do you do it here? And how do you do it better than me? So what if you do it better than me? You obviously will be doing some things better than me. And vice versa. And the more we share these kind of observations, I guess it will be much, much better. It will be much, much more relevant. I'll take a small pause here. If we have any questions, because he's given me some extra time. So it's 11:30 now. I should have stopped in the next 5 minutes and I've just covered one page of this. But so if any questions or any thoughts you want me to say, let's please. Yes, please.
A follow-up question to that. In case agile internal audit is implemented in the planning, fieldwork, and execution phase, it would be a huge change. And considering that our current standards also have been defined in a way of planning, fieldwork, reporting only, how exactly that change management can be handled?
Good question, ma'am. I'll answer it as follows. So far as agile internal auditing is concerned, first of all, thank you for reaching the mic at least halfway through. Generally, the mics reach the person asking the question at the end of the question, but at least it reached halfway through, so we are one step ahead. So, yeah, it also gave me some thought, time to think. It is true that agile internal auditing, you can't sleep on a Wednesday and start agile internal auditing on a Thursday morning, okay? So let's get that out of our mind. The idea is, like today, like when I've been doing my audit planning, we have that typical way of keeping some 10%, depending on the past, okay? We have got this assignment here, we feel this is there, I feel business may increase and whatever, and on our basis of what we know and what we think we know, we come out with some percentage of 10 and 20%. As we mature and as the department comes into that maturity curve, and as the businesses start understanding that you are here to add value and you have been indeed adding value, you yourself will see that there has been, and that was actually my last point, which I was going to talk, that the more they seek you for, when my fridge doesn't work, I don't go to an internal auditor, right? I go to that guy who understands that electronic or electric guy, and he repairs my electric fridge. I want to be that mechanic, a one-stop service shop, what I call, a one-stop service shop. Oh, this is the problem that I have. What is it that I will do? But be mindful, because sometimes what happens is, when you think about, and in seminars like this, we talk about partnering, strategic partnering with businesses. Be very careful when somebody says strategic partnership, or even if I say it. I don't normally say strategic partnering. When sometimes strategic partnering I've seen is a ruse for you to lead you somewhere else, So if ever you travel, if three young college boys travel without a train ticket, today of course it's digital, I'm talking about my days. Two of the guys with ticket will run somewhere else when they see a TC, so that the TC will go after him and this guy walks out. So we need to be mindful about it. But as we move up the maturity curve of the internal auditing, you'll yourself realize that my plans, which I thought at the beginning of the year, just as business, business also has some plans. They think that they're going to add 4 new products, they're going to add 2 more regions, they're going to get into some more new geographies, but it might not completely happen, or sometimes it just booms, it just clicks, and things happen. Sometimes there are opportunities where, some partners come and what you planned goes away completely, even in matured companies. So therefore, our maturity itself will make sure that we are agile. I feel agility is not only in the planning, but also in the execution, which you touched upon. What I mean about including, forget about what the official definition of agile internal auditing is, but I feel the agility of us to understand that business. Suppose I'm going to that business for the 5th time, in the 5th year in running, for whatever reason you picked it up and you need to go there. Don't do the same areas, Microsoft has given us a good tool, just cut and paste and copy, and sometimes we don't even change dates. And then you realize, oh shucks, yeah, this is not, and I used a polite word. I say, oh God, I missed this. Oh, this is last year's data, man. I can check the blessed data here. So we need to show agility there as well. We need to show agility in the type of people that are going for that, for the audit. Don't send the same guy, just because his brother stays there in Kolhapur. Means every time Kolhapur audit is being taken because he's a nice guy. You can't go for auditing just because my brother stays there. Yeah, come on. So the intelligence that you use in forming teams, in making sure that we pick the right areas, that we pick the right audit units, I think the agility is over there. I'll use one more word called nimble-footed. Our audit departments must be so nimble-footed that we are able to run, we are able to move as the way, like a side screen when you play cricket. And I have some analogies of cricket all the time. And so when the side screen, if Curtly Ambrose is coming to bowl, though I'll talk about cricketers from my age, You can't have a side screen in Wankhede. It has to be refurbished. It has to be made bigger because the arm comes right from up. It comes above the side screen. And if he's bowling around the wicket, the side screen is at a particular place. You can't say, no, side screen is going to be here. You do what you want. So we have that tendency. I'm going to do what I have to do here. I've been told. I'm auditor. So this kind of, the relationship that I'm talking about is, it's a two-way relationship. How much faith and trust that the management gives on to you, and how exuberant you are in delivering this and, making the trust better and better and better. Then you see whether your observations are getting implemented or not. Then you see whether you're being called for assignments or not. And that's the agility that I'm talking about. Not a paper agility and not some definition and trying to pick up some kind of activities. I think if we succeed, at least if we are in that direction, I'll be happy. Each one of us will be happy. I'm not saying that we'll reach there, because by the time we reach there, they have gone further. Okay? Like business targets. No? You get 20%, they want 30%. You get 30%, they want 60%. So you'll always find that you're, so many things to do with our own happiness. No? Chennai chapter called me, now Delhi will call me or not, Bangalore will call me or not. Unhappy. Chennai called me, celebrate. Yeah, that's it, full stop. So this kind of a trust, a give and take, which is what the first point that I made. If this trust is ongoing, and sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may not be so good, sometimes, the resources that one has for internal auditing is the most important thing. Please come back, sir, after the call. Don't go into C, B or A. So, I have to also have some photo. If you take out from here, then one person missing, no? So, somebody will sit and count, no, auditors are there, they'll say 64 people he started with, now only 46 people are there, what happened? Then I'll say, no, it was a transposition error. Thank you very much. So, this is where I'm saying, the agility will come. And as it gets sensed in the organization, I've seen that Akhilesh, Babu, Pani, okay. So, this is what, I try to talk something different because you're here today. You say, he talks the same thing again and again. I brought something new to talk. Okay. So, life is for fun, yeah. Come on, we need to be humorous. That's one of the ways of, keeping engagement. So, this is what happens. Anyway, I'll not correct another joke. So this is how this is a piece on agility. If there's any more questions, anybody has? Yeah, please. Yeah, good.
You can have the mic.
Oh, sir, mic. Oh, sir. Mic.
No, got it.
Oh, you got the mic.
So, see, business...
if you do something unusual, you get attention.
Okay, got it. So, the business leaders, generally, they have a good relationship among the C level or the persons below them. But auditors, being part of the organization, still has to have a line of objectivity, independence, all the standards please. But how the CAE can be a part of business, still maintaining independence, objectivity, but I feel sometimes auditors lack this skill of reaching out to the business leaders, okay, sitting with them, listening, rather than we speak a lot, rather than listening what they have to say. So what we need to develop in the way that we first ensure the relationship is there, then we do the auditing.
This is a chicken and egg story. I mean, you get a seat, as I was talking about seat in the table. This is a fairly, again, it's a longish kind of a process. It's like whether I have a headache and take a medicine, or I do something that I don't get the headache at all. I'm today's part of this whole presentation because there's no slides. So this is a presentation where you're trying to prevent the headache from happening rather than popping a pill, So yes, it again all depends, my friend, on how we put our observations, how we are seen. I'll tell you this, and this is where exactly, I think I had some successes. Auditing is a negative subject, okay? What is it an auditor says all the time? This did not happen, this red color is not good, it should be dark red, low red, this red, that red, this didn't happen, who didn't come, he didn't do this, he didn't do this, he didn't do this. What the bloody hell, man, we've got 50 billion turnover, we have got, no, sir, GRL not made, no. Table is here, GRN not. Okay, yaar. Don't kill him, no. Next year, same point. Don't kill that man twice, yaar. Already dead, no, finished. GRN dead. We have decided not to make GRN. What you will do? 50,000 crore profit is coming, okay? So, the idea is that you come out with such kind of observations that you will definitely be wanted. You know, I was talking about agile internal auditing where you get requests, management requests, and you need to be very careful about it. You need to be very careful that you don't cross the line. I mean, and that's a very subjective line. I mean, you know, it's like our line of control, you know, where the Galwan story and all. Today there was somebody playing cricket there and all that. So that's okay. India, China can play a match. But what I mean is that you need to use your, oh sir, arey jevan aaye re, azun time hai. If I talk to him in English, he'll not understand. Let me at least talk in a language I am comfortable. So, Hindi if I talk, he'll not understand. So I spoke in Marathi, at least I am comfortable. Nantar karuya आपण जेवण, okay. He agreed. So, I can't tell him, yeah. So, the point is that we need to draw these lines in a very, very matured model. And my personal experience has been, and there have been reasonable amount of failures as well, but the idea is that at least you're seen to be moving in that direction. And internal audit per se intrinsically is negative. So we must get rid of this negative analogy that is, you know, auditor, oh God, however good that auditor may be, however, yet that niggling thing. See, if I'll tell you one simple example. You're driving a car. If that police officer stops you, you may have had all the documents in your car. Still, you don't feel POC, there. Auditors, audit is like that one. And still that fellow will come out something. Your number plate is wrong. Something. So we need to be, so this is there. So I think the connotation needs to be changed. You know, I have some blogs which I use, I did daily, which I used to start, I started 11 years ago on a daily basis. The simple purpose was, I'm not saying that people will read that and say, oh, Satish is a good guy. Satish must be the worst fellow, therefore he's writing all these good things. That might be the other way to look at it. But there are people who do that, and hopefully I'm not one such. I can't certify myself. Yeah. So we had one column in our audit reports called good practices. See, in life, you only get what you search for. Remember this. In life, we only get what we search for. Okay? If I search for this paper, I'll get it. If the intention is not to search this paper, try as I must, I'll not get it. There must be light for me to see, then I'm able to pick it up. So, we used to always have a column, and NBG is here, called the good practices. So the good practices was that you find out something. No, I didn't get only good practice. Arey Bagar, you didn't search at all. You didn't search. Auditor, no. Sir, you know, if I tell good practice, and tomorrow if there is a fraud, anyway you lose your job if you had to. And who has lost the job when a fraud has come? ILFS auditor must be still there, sitting in his glass chamber. I don't have anything against ILFS. But I'm saying, who has lost the job that way? The thing is that, yeah, I mean, these things will happen. And these good practices didn't stop there. We had one, in the company, we had one bulletin which our department used to talk about. It was called Beacon, because like the lighthouse beacon, it shows the light, beacon. So the beacon was that in that, the good practices used to be published and when it was a good practice with the unit name. So that was the sense of pride. So these are baby steps. They are not giant strides, but at least there is a start. So from this, something else will develop. You know how intelligent we are. You start something, gets better and better and better and better. Reliance wasn't, when Dhirubhai Ambani started, he never thought that it will be what it is today. Let me not talk about Adani, because then there will be some negative connotations in the room. I want positive connotations. So yeah, so be seen as, to answer your question in one line, be seen as a person who has positive intent. जोर का धक्का है धीरे से. I mean, for those who understand Hindi, give a shove, but do it in a proper way. And I've seen auditees being very happy when you put it in the right perspectives. Today, what is said is not as important, right? Why today? Is not as important as how it is said. What is said is important, but how it is said. I think if these few things are done, yes, absolutely. How it is being told and, yes, sir. Sorry? Yeah, don't sensationalize. I like those TV channels, no? आपको मालूम है क्या हुआ कुछ नहीं हुआ यार. Why are you saying क्या हुआ? Finally, when you come to know the man standing there shouting at the honey, yaar, something happened in India today, then you know you don't see that TV channel. So they don't see the audit reports. Why? All to do with our media, boss. All to do with the way the media is. You don't watch that channel because the fellow just standing and shouting at the top of the screen. Yes, sir. You had a question.
Sir, so I don't have a question, but I just thought I want to second your thought with respect to how we do agile audit and saying that auditing is a negative way in which we think, right?
Yeah.
Maybe as auditors, we might also have to change the perception in which we deal with the management. Because when we have those planning or the kickoff meetings, right, maybe we need to kind of establish a relationship where we say that it's not for just finding out faults, maybe to improve processes or so. Because one of the challenges that I've faced as part of the internal audit is getting data on time is always a difficulty, and due to which we delay our reports and everything. So maybe somewhere the relationship that we develop, at the same time we need to ensure that our professionalism is also kept ensured at all points in time. So maybe that's the way maybe we need to change our perception and we need to look at internal audit as such. It's more like a kind of consulting kind of internal audit is what I would say we need to work upon.
You're right. I mean, these things will definitely come up.
Yeah.
What is said, I think you're not brought people to chase me out, no? Huh? Okay. You want me to end? I'll end, but I have to answer him. I have to meet him at the lunchroom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is true. I mean, these things will definitely come out. You made one point which I had a strong view. I'll remember it. I'll meet you in the lunchtime and tell you. But you're right. I mean, these things will keep throwing up.
Because that's the only way in the boardroom discussions we might be able to add value and...
See, the important thing is not what you say, but what you do. Knowing is knowing, doing is doing. What you say is not important, what you do. You're judged not by what you say, but you're judged by what you do. So merely saying that I'm here to add value and I'm going to add value, that's not going to be enough. What is it that you do, next steps to make sure that you actually get into really adding value is something that is not only seen, perceived, but actually done. Yes, sir. I think why don't we give him a chance? He's the last bench, you know. My favorites are in the last bench. Yes,
Thank you, sir. One thing with regard to the audit planning, you have mentioned as part of the audit planning, we will be selecting the right areas and the right skill set for doing this. I just want to get your experience as a CAE. Will you always get your right budget to do this? Because most of the time I see that audit as an area where people will not get the right budget and they try to do a lot of things with the minimal thing and it obviously lead to substandard work. So can you share your experience in terms of getting the right tools as well?
Yeah, good question. First philosophical answer, then internal audit. First philosophical answer is, in life you'll never get what you want. You will get only what you need. Remember this. Anything. I want this, I want that, I want business class, I want this. What do you need? You need to go from Bombay to Calcutta or Bombay to Chennai, more relevant now. So you'll not get what you want, but you'll get what you need. So understand what you need first. Do it properly. My philosophy of life is, you will get more than what you want. Understand this. Perfectly example with everybody. Your own brother, your own child, your own mother, your own sister, you yourself with relation to them. You'll always want more than what, I'm not saying you'll want more than what you need, but you'll always get what you need. And if you do make the most with what you get and use it properly, end of the day, you will definitely see that You will get more than what you want. And this is a true thing. It's not a philosophical, straight-jacketed statement, which is why I am again and again saying that make sure that you're not in 20 areas. Don't be all over the place. Just make sure that we know what we want to do. Demonstrate adding value. Who doesn't want to spend 10 bucks and save 20 rupees? Yeah? Who will not want to do it? Demonstrate. If this is demonstrated, I think very few managements are not going to give you the buck. But don't ask for the moon. Don't say, I want 600 people. One point that I remember now, he said that getting data is the most important thing. I'm sorry, I'm moving from you to him because that was the thing which I definitely wanted to discuss. He made a point that we don't get data on time. I mean, all of us will put our hands and legs up also if it's possible. My story is, don't wait for data from the management. It could be massaged, it could be, think about, एक photo यहाँ से भी लो यार. Somebody should take a photo from here. It looks nice, no? All people are waiting, they'll think I'm a rock star auditor, yeah? Rock star auditor. He's come to take photo, he's looking at this photo. He's already here, oh sorry. Take one photo but.
Sure, sure.
So, the point is that make sure it's a buffet meal and not an a la carte. So the last line that I wanted to do before I get a kick from the back, okay? Tell your management that you're in good hands and be very craving to hear, audit me now. I think if these words are told to you, told to us, then I think we as internal auditors have arrived. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Satish Shanai. It was truly very insightful. The topic was about multifaceted CAE. I truly believe that you have worn that hat and given a lot of insights to the participants here. The concepts on agile auditing, you covered about business knowledge, you covered about reporting aspects, access to senior management the internal auditors have, and the complexity of the business that you need to look at, severity that of the reporting templates that you need to look at, what is important and the observations that you need to take and work with the business like a business friendly way in terms of internal auditor being able to provide a lot of insights. All this was very encouraging and thanks so much for coming all the way from Mumbai and taking these sessions. I'm truly honored. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for your patience. Thank you.